Joe's Tech Breakdown, an ASMR series. Today we're going to be working on a Sony Dual Shock 3 Sixaxis PlayStation 3 controller. Specifically, model number CECHZC2U. This is important. This type of controller has a problem. Hitting the buttons doesn't always work. Sometimes, while playing a game, it'll hit buttons for me. This isn't good. I bought this controller specifically because I liked the aesthetic. Let's fix it. The tools we'll need are a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver, a spudger to pull the case apart, an X-Acto knife, an alcohol wipe, also known as an alcohol prep pad, a precision ruler, you'll see a close-up of that later, and a Post-it note. I'll show you how that works. For now, let's pull this apart. We'll start with the 5 screws that hold the case together. Pull up from the back side of the controller, and be careful when pulling off the R2 and L2 buttons, or they'll actually pop off. The first thing we're going to do is remove the battery. Just pull gently, and the battery should come right out. We have one more screw right here. When you set the controller down, the analog sticks will push it up and out. Be very gentle so as not to disconnect the motors from the circuit board. Right here is the problem. This plastic pad, which connects around to the backside and then connects to all the buttons on the controller, is held to these pads on the circuit board, but it's only held in place by a pad this tiny little piece of sponge is what holds the pressure between these contacts and these contacts. After all these years, I think the sponge has given up. It's still spongy, but certainly doesn't produce enough pressure to keep the contact solid. What we'll need to do is, using our Post-it note, create a cushion underneath for the bottom of the pad. Using our precision ruler, we can measure the pad. It's 22 millimeters by about 5 millimeters. That's easy enough. You can measure this, or, like I'm going to do, you can use the foam pad as a template. I'm going to use the sticky part of the Post-it note because I'm going to need several layers and I want to be able to stick them together. I'm not cutting just yet, just marking where I want the cuts to go. I can just pull the pieces apart or fold them over. Let's put that away. With a piece of the sticky note, I can put it here, right where the spongy pad will go right on top. Do the left side first, and then the right. Next, we'll clean the contacts. Your fingers naturally have oils and grease on them, even if you just wash your hands. We're using an isopropyl alcohol white. It'll dissolve the grease and the oils, and it evaporates quickly enough to be safe for electronics and circuit boards. It evaporates quickly, and once dry, you can put everything back together. Fit the analog sticks through first, and the rest of the board should slot right in place. Now we can put the screws back in. Make sure everything's seated correctly, and then do the battery. The battery has these little nubs on either side. They're going to face down. So the battery needs to be plugged in this way. with that little notch facing up towards you. The little feet fall into holes in the circuit board, which hold it steady. Next, the back cover. Start with the L2 and R2 buttons. Once they're in place, you can lower the rest of the casing down. And it should all snap right together. Put the 5 screws back in. And you're done.